Welcome back, disc golf fans, to round 3 front 9 coverage of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Plus Prodigy Presents WACO event. Back on the Brazos East course today after a new look at the Lake Waco Golf Club yesterday. Excited to be back here with Andrew Fish. I'm Nathan Queen.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very fun track, a very short track relative to most Disc Golf Pro Tour events. I believe it's the shortest men's layout in the U.S. We're going to see Gannon Buhr, Nate Sexton, Mason Ford, and Gregg Barsby attacking that. Everybody a pretty good balance of forehand and backhand. What do you see, Nathan?
Yeah, forehand, backhand's going to play well out here. Some holes are going to ask for a specific shot, but a lot of them you're able to use whichever one you're more comfortable with. So excited to see these guys attack.
After 2 rounds, everybody in pretty good position on that leaderboard, and they're going to start on hole 1. 291, it's straight ahead. There's also a hyzer route over the right side, out of bounds sidewalk to the left, and then out of bounds at the ad wall to the right. I got to play with Gannon in round 1, so interested to see if he updates any of his game plan from what I recall playing, or seeing him play.
And we saw 3 shots go over top to the right during round 1. I imagine it's going to be similar here today.
And very effective spike at the top of the bullseye and rolls down just outside.
Representing Gannon champion disc. Put your hands together for Nate Sexton.
Sexton looks like he's lining up forehand, which also plays pretty well. Nathan, this is your common spin. What's the appeal of going this direction?
You can keep it a lot lower. It's going to keep you out of the wind if the wind is up, and just a lot safer as long as you're comfortable hitting this gap.
Thank you.
That's how you want to draw that one up.
Yeah, no doubt. You can pretty much mark that up before you've even left the tee as a birdie. And not quite a local, but Mason Ford, plenty of experience here and getting some home love from Texas.
Yeah, even from Texas, it's hard to be a local in Texas. Lots of room there. And Mason throwing the, I would say, the most technical shot, righty backhand through the gap.
Rounding out your 235 card, representing Gannon champion disc. Put your hands
Yeah, missed his height a little bit, but the shape was great to start flat and then drift a touch. Barsby, it's a wide rim, so I imagine he's going up and over.
Yeah, also now has a house in Texas. Similar spike and roll as Gannon, going to end up just outside the bullseye.
And Mason not quite willing to commit super high with a downslope and, maybe the first putt jitters.
Yeah, it looks to be, although small amount of wind for Waco, it does look to be a bit of a tailwind also. So just the slight lack of commitment can be exemplified a little bit with that tailwind.
Yeah, certainly less intensity, but a different direction than what we played in round 1.
Moves us into hole 2, 631-foot par 4. Fairly short again, so you want to get out somewhere around this tree is going to be ideal shot. Definitely able to push farther if you'd like for a shorter up shot. Just make sure you don't push long right, as that walking path does play OB.
Buhr with a good shot, gets tangled up in some branches, but has made enough headway that he should have an attack for the green.
Just inside of that kind of almost aiming point tree, that leaner in the middle, Sexton's going to jump up to that left side. We don't see it as often, but there is still lots of room over there.
Yeah, I've got to imagine that these guys want to be playing outside of that middle tree. There's plenty of space over there. If you're throwing a stable disc, especially with a tailwind, it just sets you up to be in the fairway for longer.
As we see, Mason does get around that tree there in the middle, and is going to catch that tree I marked to say is a pretty good shot to be around, so definitely approachable from there. Barsby from a bit farther back. This looks nose up.
Ford with a better shot, maybe a little less technical without having to put a second angle on it, and that is going to be a birdie for him.
Yeah, that is the absolute best way to correct from a tester on hole 1. Make sure you don't have a putt on hole 2. As Sexton's going to give himself 20 feet or so. Should connect for the birdie.
Barsby out here, kind of in Barsby range, Nathan. Not this time, though.
It is indeed. Looked like it had the height on it. Just still might have had that tailwind, making things a bit more stable today.
And Gannon with a good high stick into the chains. I like that with his putt, he keeps attacking the basket, doesn't try to just soft it in there with the tailwind. Hole 3, 320 feet. It's straight ahead of you. You can go any of several different gaps. Backhand and forehand over stable to play a little flex is going to be the most common option.
Yeah, executed pretty well there. Gets a bit of fast ground play, puts him just outside the circle.
Sexton looking pretty wide here.
Yeah, so instead of going with the straight forehand, elects to go wide, and kind of a funny looking skip there. Seems like you usually see some big flares moving back to the right.
Yeah, no doubt. I think they had a pretty wet winter in Texas, and there were several holes that played much slower than I'm used to.
Mason got caught up just a bit early there. This looks to be a nice line from Gregg. An excellent distance control on that as he gets his to slow down just by the basket.
Good effort from Mason. Going to have to settle for the par. And improvement on hole 1. You give him another like that, and I'm sure he'll get it up and in.
Yeah, looks like Nate Sexton with a bit of the same issue there. Gannon going to have the opposite win now. Able to step it in there with plenty of pace. 3 for 3 to start.
Beth at 69.
I just told myself, you got to will this one in there. Whatever you have, just will it in there.
This man is unbelievable. This is what athletes live for. This is the moment.
Got a good day coming, and it's all I need. Everything I wanted is in front of me. It's a good.
Moves us into hole 4, 441-foot par 4, where you're not able to bite off too much distance off of the tee. I'd say around here in the fairway, ideally to the left side so you can have a straight shot, but there is an inside line if you push 10, 15 feet farther that'll give you a straight shot as well.
Buhr hugs the inside nicely, a little bit of ground play, and that's going to set him up a touch short of where you'd like to be, but has gotten plenty to be able to attack the green on his second.
Yeah, Gregg a little lower and more driven. Gonna get up there to that spot I was talking about on the left side. Should have a fairly straight approach to the basket from there.
And this is forehand sorcery.
Oh my goodness. What a shot. Nate Sexton with the aggressive play will absolutely have a straight shot. Almost easiest you can have for your approach on this hole.
Yeah, and he takes the more challenging tee shot. And the reward is, being able to see the basket with a very, very short approach.
Yeah, all these two shots right here are good tee shots in the fairway. It's definitely not a guaranteed birdie from this spot.
Until now.
Mason Ford has now made his birdie guaranteed.
Buhr with the standstill and tags the middle tree. It wasn't a bad shot, but it looked like it was going to be a little soft anyway.
Just a little bit of right movement on that. Gonna put himself right by the pin. And Nate Sexton with a jump putt approach here. Just as comfortable as you can be.
Yeah, book it.
And a good
Gannon
scary bid there.
Yeah, Gannon doesn't appear to care that there is a drop off. We do see him take some pace off. And he will be the only one to par. As we go on to hole 5, 264, a little bit uphill. Likely to see 4 backhands thrown here, although perhaps Sexton goes forehand. And Barsby too. Good read, Fish.
Yep, gets just over top of the hill. Nice check up on the trees there, as that one had a decent amount of pace on it. Going to be inside circle 1.
Good, caught some grass.
Gets a nice check on that hill instead of getting the big flare like Gregg did. Caught a little bit of upslope.
Yeah, I think that's what you want to do. Whether you're going forehand or backhand, you'd like to skip into the hill and let that take your speed off.
Yeah, very controlled backhand shot from Mason there. Gannon going to be looking to follow that same line.
Scoot's a little bit long, but we've seen him make this already. Does so again. That looked almost identical to what he did on hole 3.
Yeah, sure did. Moves us into hole 6. 267-foot par 3. Pretty straight shot that tails to the right at the end as you fade down the hill. Fade, assuming that you throw a forehand. You're going to want to have a late turn if you do throw a backhand.
Sexton going with the Firebird down the hill. And I feel like I remember seeing him hit this basket before with the same kind of shot.
Yeah, I mean, his name's on the disc he threw. Seems like he should hit some metal sometimes. As Mason shows you that slow turning shot, does push a little bit long. Still have a nice looking birdie putt.
Nicely done, but a dud skip for Gannon Buhr.
And I'll line him up for a nice birdie. Barsby also going to go with that forehand. A little inside, but finds a way down to the green. Going to be inside circle 1.
Great putt from Mason.
Yeah, very smooth. Similar distance to those couple that we've seen him short. Maybe a little bit closer, but that downhill, he's able to connect nicely.
Hole 7, 462, a short par 4. Mandatory forces you to the right. Priority number 1 is get out of this tunnel. Forehand and backhand both work. Forehand is the more aggressive play. You rarely see people doing it unless they are trying to attack this for eagle. Basket perch just across that small ravine.
And Sexton, with a very smooth forehand, is going to try to attack for eagle. Gets this one up a little bit high and is going to fade out early.
Might have had some branch help on that early fade.
Very well executed birdie play there from Mason Ford.
Gannon misses, hits the tree at the end of the tunnel, but altogether not the worst kick. He should still be able to find a way to the green.
Yeah, Barsby misses the fairway, but able to kick out to also a spot where he can try to attack this green. We'll see if that sat on that side hill or not. There's 3 or 4 steps you can maybe stay on. A lot of the time you roll back down to the collection point at the bottom.
That had some rolling speed on it.
Looks like it stayed, though. We can see it sitting on that second step up there. Oh, and Mason's gets packed down. Still looks like he's going to be close enough for the birdie.
Yeah, as short as this hole is, you kind of only need one good shot to make it work.
Here's Gregg, just a little bit short from the bottom of the hill. So we did see 3 eagles on that hole. Gavin Babcock, Evan Smith, and myself able to card the 2. Moves us into hole 8, pretty similar to hole 6, except you're not going to want that fade to the right at the end. Straight shot, slide it along the ground, ideally to keep you from going too far.
About like that.
Just about like that.
Ford with the backhand version of that. Lands at circle's edge and skitters up to about 4 feet long.
Yeah, exactly how I would draw it up. Just that straight shot. Catch the ground so you don't slide down the hill.
Okay. Gannon misses the fairway late, not by much, and then fades down to circle's edge.
Pretty shot.
Maybe a bit too much pace on this one. Is going to catch a tree behind the basket to keep him inside the circle. Got 4 birdie looks here. Gannon using those long limbs to his advantage.
What this camera shot doesn't quite make you appreciate is how uphill that is. And Gannon was having to go to a knee as well to get around the bush.
Gregg able to connect. Look at all the birdies we've got on this card. Got them diamonds on hole 8.
Yeah, clearly that's what you have to do. We saw 14 be the leader after 1 round here, and that was in the wind. Hole 9, 519 feet. A par 4 that sometimes scores harder than that if you don't get off the tee. Very specific landing zone and a pretty severe dog leg to the right on the end.
Sexton almost getting that forehand straight enough to get to the bottom, but kind of fade out early to the right. Hopefully we'll be able to pitch out and scramble for a par from there. Mason gonna be almost in prime position. Does get down to the flat. We'll see how much those trees are in his stance.
And Gannon pulls it off to the right and a very favorable tap down. Going to kind of be a long and funny angled approach, but almost everything is on this hole.
And looking like the ideal shot from Gregg Barsby here. Just a slow flex line the entire flight. Let's take another look.
Yeah, I like seeing overstable stuff flash just in front of that center tree, because that widens the fairway to the maximum extent. Gannon with a great skip and a great roll up to about 18 feet.
Yeah, looks like 2 holes in a row. Going to take advantage of some good tree kicks off of the tee. Card himself a birdie.
Hard to generate a whole lot of pop from that stance, but Mason Ford, very clean spin.
Yeah, Gregg also going to get up onto the green for a birdie, making this newly changed par 4 from a par 5 look fairly easy, as there was a branch that got cut off of the tee pad a few days before the event that made that tee shot significantly more doable.
Yeah, totally agree. Everybody else going to make quick work of their birdies, and man, those are some green cards, Nathan.
Yeah, birdie, 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 birdie. Got Mason Ford. Well, all of them really, just clean rounds with birdies throughout. Excited to watch the back nine and hope they keep it going.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for joining us on Gatekeeper Media's coverage of the WACO Annual Charity Open. Join us for the back nine of round 3 and more.
For Andrew Fish, I'm Nathan Queen. We'll see you guys out there.